Mawarire has requested an opportunity to respond, and he joins us on the line. A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time and welcome.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
You've raised some very serious concern about the interview conducted last night and where numerous allegations were made against you on this program. What is your reaction when you heard some of those allegations made against you?
Yeah, for starters, I thought because you were talking about the so-called July 31 protest in Zimbabwe,
Yes.
I thought at least as a channel, you yourselves should have been, you should have had knowledge of who called for those demonstrations. Certainly, I didn't call for any demonstrations. I've never called for any demonstrations in Zimbabwe. I haven't called for the July 31, 2026 demonstrations in Zimbabwe. What I've just shared with fellow Zimbabweans is what is contained in the Constitution, that in Section 59 of our Constitution, we are guaranteed as Zimbabwean citizens the freedom to demonstrate and to petition. And also in the Bill of Rights, in Section 67, subsection 2 of the Constitution, subsection 2D of the Zimbabwean Constitution, we are guaranteed as Zimbabweans, individually or collectively, of the right to gather for peaceful activities to influence or challenge the government. So I don't see anything wrong with people who want to demonstrate or want to petition. It's their right. It's enshrined in the Constitution, the sections that I referred to. Those are the rights that the new Constitution that we had in 2018 guarantee the people or the citizens of Zimbabwe. As far as I'm concerned,
Mr.
as far as
Mawarire,
I know,
just as we, just so we're on the same momentum with this conversation, as you started the conversation, you said, I should have known who called for the 31st of July demonstrations. Perhaps you should tell me.
Yeah, because certainly that was your topic.
Yes.
As a journalist, that was your topic.
Can you give me a chance to explain, to ask you? Because I want you to tell me, you are in Zimbabwe, you tell me who has called for the 31st July demonstrations, because we are on a fact-finding mission here to get a sense of who is behind the protests. I mean, that is the exact reason we wanted to do the interview, to understand who is behind it. Why is it a faceless demonstration?
If you say it's a faceless demonstration, then at least you have done research on the demonstrations. And I wonder why then your channel and your guest then had to put my face on what you rightly say is a faceless demonstration. Why did you put my face? That's my concern. I'm not in Zimbabwe, for starters. I'm not in Zimbabwe. I am outside Zimbabwe. I left Zimbabwe because I'm fearing for my own security. I've been outside Zimbabwe, and the government knows. The political leaders in Zimbabwe, they know about that. Even your guest knew, because he mentioned that I was in South Africa. I'm not in South Africa, but I'm not in Zimbabwe.
Okay.
I didn't call for those demonstrations. I didn't call for the demonstrations. What I have gathered through various media channels is that there is a collective group, a collective grouping of churches, civil society organizations, and political leaders, which calls itself Sungano, which is a grouping of the people. Those are the people that have called for a stay away. I'm not part of that group, but they've called for a stay away on the 31st of July, 2026. I am not aware of any group that has called for demonstrations on July 31. Neither do I know of an individual that has called for demonstrations on the 31st of July.
Yes.
But I'm perplexed I'm really, surprised that you and your guest, you were discussing me as if I am the one who called for demonstrations. For starters, I don't even know that there are demonstrations on the 31st of July. What I know, which I've read in news articles and on various social media channels, is that there is a stay away. And I think there is a world of difference between a demonstration and a stay away.
Okay. So let me correct you. Your name was mentioned by the guest, and I wanted to find out what these allegations were against you. There are accusations that you allegedly took money from the late former President Robert Mugabe, and then another allegation suggesting that you solicited funds from Zimbabwean business people for these very demonstrations, the 31st of July, and have used the money for personal projects. How do you respond to that claim? I'm sure that must have been the point where you thought you have to come and speak for yourself on this platform.
Ms. Stolle, it doesn't make any sense that I've collected money for the demonstrations, for the 31st July demonstrations, and have already built structures in Zimbabwe worth 2 million. According to your guest, he says that I've built houses, cluster houses, that are worth 2 million United States dollars.
Yes.
And when did I collect the money? And when did I buy the piece of land? And when did I start building those? Does it make sense? When were these demonstrations called? If they were called in July, is it physically possible that I could have already bought a piece of land and I've already started building cluster houses, and these cluster houses are even complete to an extent that someone can actually estimate their final cost, that at completion they will be worth $2 million. These are just lies that these regime agents are concocting, trying to tie my name to the demonstrations for whatever reason. I don't know. But if you ask me, this call for demonstrations on the 31st of July 2026 might be a false flag from the regime. It's a false flag. That's why they are trying to find a face to attach to their false flag, so that if the demonstrations turn violent, they will hunt for me. Or if the demonstrations then fail, they will then say, Mawarire called for demonstrations, and they failed. Because as far as I'm concerned, I haven't seen any individual or any group that has called for demonstrations on the 31st of July 2026. What we have is a united front of civil servants, of civil society, political parties, and church groups who came together and said there will be a stay away on the 31st of July 2026. And those groups are there. It's called the Sungano. It has its own leaders. It's led by Reverend Mtata. So if anyone could be a face of the stay away, not demonstrations, it should be Reverend Mtata, not Mbizo Jealousy Mawarire.
Okay, so you are now, you're denying any involvement, you're denying ever receiving, this is just for clarity, ever receiving any funds that you were allegedly taking for your own personal enrichment, as opposed to being part of this demonstration, which would have been a demonstration that really just talks to the building frustrations of ordinary Zimbabweans, the unemployment issues, the state of the economy, and all the challenges that cannot be heard in just one voice, but as a group. So you're saying you have absolutely nothing at all to do with the demonstrations, and you have not taken any funds, just for clarity.
Yeah, Ms. Stolle, I've been very close to the late president. I still talk to the family. I talk to the former First Lady. If I had stolen money from President Mugabe, I think I would be anywhere near that family. If you look at even the number of politicians who were close to President Mugabe. After the coup, it was me. I would attend his birthdays, and this is public. Mm-hmm. I attended his funeral, and there were very few family members there. I was there. I attended the centenary celebrations with my wife. So if I had stolen from that family, how would the family then, why would the family call in a thief to attend all those family gatherings and family functions? I have also not collected any money from anyone, any business person in Zimbabwe. I'm a businessman in my own right. And if there is any businessman from whom I've collected money purporting to fund demonstrations, I would be glad that such one business person can come forward and say, I gave Mawarire this much. Everything that I do, I work. I'm a farmer. Mm-hmm. If you go even on any handle, social media handle that I run, my X account, my Facebook pages, you will see videos of me in my cabbage fields, in my maize fields. Okay. Sometimes I will be on the tractor. I'm a hands-on person.
Okay, thank you so much.
Trucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. Thanks for clearing the air.
Money from anyone.
Thank you for clearing the air. Thank you for clearing the air. This was me on a fact-finding mission. I did not personally emphasize anything on your name. I was on a fact-finding mission, just as I was with you this evening. So I do thank you for your time. Thank you for clearing the air. And I'm glad that you were indeed available to give yourself that right of reply.
But my concern, Ms. Stolen, I'm a journalist by profession. I hold a master's degree in journalism and media studies. My concern, even when I spoke to some of the people at your channel, was that you did nothing to probe.
Yeah, I knew I would give you your right of reply. I was just merely talking. I cannot stop. I cannot stop anyone.
No, but let me finish. Let me finish what I was saying. I said, you are the one who came up with, or your producers came up with the topic that you were debating.
Yes.
You knew that there were demonstrations on the 31st of July, 2026. Surely, any journalist who is worth their salt would have researched to find out whether there are demonstrations on the 31st of July before.
No, it's a fact-finding mission. I disagree with you. It's a fact-finding mission. I am trying to find out the facts from you. Unfortunately, the time is up. Yeah, I wish you and I could do a back-and-forth debate. In fact, you should come here and sit here so we could ventilate this issue in full. But I was on a fact-finding mission. I needed to get clarity from my guest. I needed to know what is the plan and why is there no certain individual. But we do thank you for telling us about the Sungana Collective, who have called for a demonstration. This is according to my guest, Jealousy Mawarire, who is wrapping up that conversation after we've given him the right of reply from the 31st July demonstration conversation we had yesterday on the show with a number of allegations that were put forward by political activist Malcolm Masarira. So we have heard both sides of the story now, and I will not be made the target here when I'm on a fact-finding mission.